Hey everyone, welcome to my channel or welcome back. So my name is Katie if you're new. So I'm going to be doing a very short update for my Pan That palette. This is update number 5. I got some feedback over the last couple months that you guys would maybe be interested in me switching to more of a monthly update schedule, so that is what I'm doing. It's been a little bit more than a month since my last one, so I thought it was time. I've been trying to film this for a couple of days and they've been doing all this construction on our building this time, and so they have been turning up at like 6:37 in the morning and then making noise till like 6:30 at night, at which point it's pretty much dark. So they're on their lunch break, so I'm going to try to get this done while they are gone. So hopefully there won't be too much like banging or just like noise from outside. So I'm kind of feeling like I've started to really hit a little bit of a crossroads with this project and this palette. So I have a couple of ideas for how I'm gonna run things going forward. And we'll talk about that in a bit, but I would always love your opinion, so if you have any feedback, feel free to weigh in on what you think I should do next. But first of all, let's get to the progress. So I've been working on the Huda Beauty Emerald Obsessions for this year, and it has certainly been a choice to work on a palette like that, but we have been doing it, and I actually feel like I made some really good progress this month. So I will have my project playlist linked down below if you are new to this project on my channel and you want to catch up. I will throw a photo on screen of how I was looking as of the last month. So as of September, I had hit 7 of the 9 pans in this palette, and I was just sort of working towards side pan on some of the other shades and then just hitting those last 2 pans. And as of this update, there is not quite any side pan, but there is one new pan. I don't know if you can tell, it is right down here, and I've been working on this one for a while, and we are slowly but surely heading towards side pan on a couple through here. So let's talk about usage. So I have used this glitter topper shade 6 times total. I've kind of slowed down on this one a little bit now that I do have pan on it, and I find this one takes quite a while to show progress, so I feel like there is maybe a tiny little bit of pan expansion, but nothing too crazy. I've been reaching for the matte mint quite a few times, so I've reached for this 5 times, and as you can see, I'm not quite at side pan, but I am getting really close. I think a couple more weeks of use and I will be there. And then I have also used this mint shimmer out here 3 times, so there's a little bit of pan expansion, but nothing too crazy. I think it's going to take a while to get to side pan on this one. And then I have used this forest green shimmer once, so it doesn't really look a whole lot different. I feel like maybe I'm starting to wear away the sort of film just covering the pan, but I have had pan on this one for quite some time, but progress on it has been pretty slow. I have used this emerald green shimmer right here twice, and this looks a lot different because it's kind of started to crumble in the pan, and so you are starting to see a little bit of that like ridge in the pan. You can also see it on the mint, and I'm very close on the mint sort of shimmer over here. I've also only used the emerald matte twice, so maybe a tiny little bit of pan expansion, but this one is a little bit more hard pressed than some of the other ones, I think, so it does take a while to show progress, even with having to build this up quite a bit. I have used the olive matte 5 times, and I feel like there's maybe a little bit more of a pronounced dip. I would say that I am maybe halfway to pan. It's gonna take a little bit longer before I get there. I finally hit pan on this olive shimmer. It took me 4 additional uses, and I have used it once since hitting pan for 5 times total, and I haven't used this gold at all. I did kind of call it quits on this one after I realized that it's just not a flattering shade on me, and I never really liked how my makeup looked when I wore it, so I was kind of like, you know what, we'll just focus on the other ones that I like using. So that is kind of how my palette is looking for right now. Definitely a lot of expansion through here, and then one new pan, which is exciting. So going forward, I am going to be focusing on trying to hit side pan and sort of maybe start working on this lower corner from this mint shade. Again, trying to hit side pan here, and I am like so close to this middle emerald shimmer. And then obviously I do also want to try to hit pan on this olive shade over here. Now this is one of the easier to use shades, so I feel like it's definitely possible. Might not be by the next update, but I think if I focus and maybe use it more along the lower lash line with a smaller brush, it might be possible. So having said that, let's talk a little bit about how I'm feeling about this palette and why I kind of feel like I'm at sort of like a crossroads and I'm not entirely sure where to go next. Because I have been noticing some formula changes on this over the last couple months. I have had this palette for about a year and a half, just under a year and a half. I think I got it in like July of last year, so year and 4 months, year and a third, if we're getting real mathy about it. And I have noticed that once I hit the year mark, which this does have like a 1 year sort of shelf life, which I usually expect that I'm gonna get a couple years out of my palettes. Like I used my Urban Decay Naked 2 for a disgusting amount of time before I called it quits, and I got like 4 years out of my Tarte Light and Bloom before things really started to change, and I just didn't really want to use it on my eyes anymore. So I kind of expected to get longer out of this one. Having said that, I am really glad that I did try to use it this year, because definitely this has clearly a formula that is a little bit more prone to going off faster than some of my other maybe more classic powder formulas. As a side note, if you have or have used any of the Obsessions palettes, let me know how long yours lasted. I generally expect that things aren't going to dry out as quickly here because I live by the ocean and it's always very humid, so I don't worry about like things drying out the same way that people who live in California maybe do. So let's talk about what is next with this one, because I have definitely noticed some more fallout and just like fading, and things aren't going on as pigmented as they used to, and then if they do go on, they fade almost immediately. So I've noticed with this mint shade, which is, these two are my favorites, and I've noticed that this one isn't going on as pigmented as it used to, and it definitely takes a lot more work to build up. This matte mint has always taken a little bit of building up, but it's just, it fades and it doesn't apply as evenly as it used to. This one has pretty much started to crumble out of the pan. I only used it twice, but pretty much what I have to do if I want to get payoff with this shade, which I want to point out has always been a stubborn shade in this palette. This one definitely needs a glitter glue in order for full payoff. You cannot like layer this up over a regular eyeshadow primer the same way you can with some of the other ones, but this has started to like crumble, so if I want to use it, I have to go in and like kick up some product with my brush and then pick it up and then really like pack it onto my eyelids. And even when I do that, there's like a bunch of fallout and I'm covered in blue glitter and it's like a whole thing. I've also noticed that these two have started to like dry out to the point where they're starting to crumble and they fade almost immediately. So I used this shade as a liner the other day and I couldn't get the color payoff that I used to. Like these used to go on really creamy and smooth, and this is starting to crumble. I ended up with like fallout everywhere and it just faded like almost immediately. And then I wore this in as most of my lid shade with like a little orange halo for my Project Pan update. I do my eyes first, so I put this on and it looked really nice. By the time I finished my face makeup, which was like less than 20 minutes later, it had faded noticeably. And then I tried to reapply and I ended up with a bunch of fallout and it was like a whole thing. So I'm just definitely noticing that the formula on this one is changing. So having said that, I have a couple of thoughts for like places to go next with this project. I definitely want to continue doing a Pan That palette in some capacity, and I do have my palettes for next year picked out, so that's not a problem. And again, I would love it if you guys weighed in, so if you do have any opinions, feel free to leave them down below and I will definitely take them into consideration. First option is just to continue on like nothing's happened and just push through and use this towards the end of the year. So I would have one more update at the end of November, and then I'll probably wrap this up around the 20th of December and then give myself some time off before I start my new project in the beginning of January. I will be doing this in some capacity next year. It just might not be on the same upload schedule that this project has been on, if that made any sense whatsoever. So that's option number one, is just to continue on. I really do only have like one more update. Option number two would be to end this one a little bit early and then just start up my 2022 project soon. So I have a little bit more time to work on those. And like I said, I do have them all picked out and ready to go, so I could pretty much start that at any time. And then option number three is sort of a hybrid between the first two options. So I do obviously have one more pan outstanding that I have not hit, so I was also thinking that it might be an option to work on this palette until I hit pan on that olive shade and then start up my 2022 project a little bit early. So those are kind of what I'm thinking of as options. If you have any other ideas, feel free to leave them down below. If I do decide to wrap this up a little bit early, I will probably do an intro for my next Pan That palette and a finale is the same video, and that could be like my next update in November, because I would kind of like to maybe work on this for a little bit longer. So anyway, those are the options that I was thinking of, and I'm not entirely sure exactly where I want to go, but if I do continue with this a little bit longer, I do have some goals for the next update. So for the next update, I really would like to have side pan on that sort of emerald shimmer, as well as the matte mint, and then maybe a little bit more progress on the mint shimmer, as well as really trying to hit pan on that olive matte, because that is my only outstanding pan and I would like to get there at some point. Having said that, that one is fighting me. It sort of is getting to a point where it builds up and then it won't build up nearly as much as it used to, and then it fades pretty quickly. I did my makeup like a couple of hours ago and this looked a lot more intense. At least the matte portion of the crease and lower lash line looked a lot more intense, and they have significantly faded. So at least I might be able to get some more use out of this one by reapplying it now that I know that. So we'll kind of see how that goes. I think that's pretty much where I'm going to wrap it up. I'm sure the guys will be coming back from lunch at any moment now. So thank you guys so much for watching if you're still here. If you haven't hit that subscribe button and you want to see more of my face, I upload new beauty videos roughly once a week for right now. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to give it a like, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!